If a pregnant woman doesn't have light duty paperwork, she should be capable of doing the job as required without help. I am currently 31 weeks pregnant, and I work as a water filtration operator. Every 4 weeks, me and the other operators rotate onto the maintenance shift where we work under this particular supervisor. We'll call him Randy. Randy likes to think he has more control than he does have, and honestly, the plant supervisor just lets him think that. About a month or so ago, I was working with him and he told me to pick up a 45 pounds empty nitrogen cylinder. I politely reminded him that I was pregnant and shouldn't be doing that, to which he responded, since I didn't have light duty paperwork, it shouldn't be a problem. I sucked it up and lifted the cylinder and carried it to the destination, but received a pulled muscle in the process. The next day, I informed the plant supervisor and the work injury report was filed. When my statement was taken, the verbiage I used that was corroborated with another co-worker that was present caused Randy to get in trouble, because he knew I was pregnant and essentially caused the injury to happen. They took me to a nurse to make sure that my baby was fine and that I was okay and was not experiencing any complications from the injury. I wasn't, other than being in pain if I moved too much. They sent me back on my way and the plant supervisor put me on desk duty for the day. Randy was livid, of course, because he lost some of his manpower on the maintenance team. He made a fuss about me not having light duty paperwork, saying that if I didn't have it then I should be capable of doing the work that is needed around the plant. I was capable, I just used common sense. Prior to this incident, I did my job to the fullest within the limitations of my body, which wasn't that much. I rested when I needed to, didn't lift more than my body would allow, and most importantly, I was the only female out of 7 employees, so my other coworkers were more than willing to help me if I asked, which wasn't that often. So, the plant supervisor called me into his office and requested that I go get my light duty papers from the doctor ASAP. That's the only way he could protect me from getting further hurt at work. I told him I understood and made the call to the doctor's office and picked it up that afternoon. I got the paperwork that was supposed to keep Randy quiet and it restricted me as such. No stooping more than 2 times an hour. No climbing ladders or poles at all. No climbing more than 3 flights of stairs a shift. No lifting more than 25 pounds. No standing more than 30 minutes out of each hour. And limited contact with chemicals. These orders of course make it very difficult for me to do my job fully, as it basically limits me to either desk work, or general cleaning. Now I know this list is bullshit, because I can definitely stoop more than 2 times in an hour. I may be out of breath coming back up, but I can do it. And the climbing more than 3 flights of stairs is ridiculous, because that means I can't do all of my rounds. Someone else has to do the last set for me, because you climb a set of stairs every time. Under normal circumstances, I would be more than happy to bend the rules here to make everyone's lives easier, but honestly, since he's the one who witched and moaned for me to get this paperwork, I plan to make full use of it. So far, since I've received this paperwork, I keep a checklist of all of the things I can't do and fill it like a bingo card. If I fill all of the things, to the office I go, because that means I can't do any more physical work on shift. And he has a bad habit of tossing a lot of work my way in the beginning of my shifts. Now to the comments. This may well have been a case where chili logic should have been replaced by the common sense of, perhaps, the average chicken. Lord Veterinary, Making Money by Terry Pratchett. As someone who has chickens, they do have more common sense than the supervisor in this post. And they can play dead. Here's an abstract question. If Randy thinks he has more control than he does, but his manager lets him think that, doesn't Randy have as much control as he thinks he does? If Randy falls in the woods, and there's nobody for miles around, does it make a sound? Only if he has the proper paperwork. I will say that this list may be BS to you now at 31 weeks, but in 3rd trimester things get harder day by day because baby growth is fast. So at 31 weeks it may seem silly, but at 35 or 36 it won't. Doctor is taking that into consideration. And if she bends the rules, she could duck herself out of workman's comp. When you said you were a water filtration operator, I thought you were making a joke about being pregnant, because of the constant peeing. Randy is why we can't have nice things. OP replied. Literally. He breaks more things than fixes them. Emo, you shouldn't rely on the company nurse to determine your injury. You need a full evaluation by your own physician and OB/GYN. And, that should be paid for by the company. OP replied. Oh, I did immediately. They just wanted me to be seen by one of theirs so they have confirmation that I have been seen. Was she an OB nurse? Because if not, the reason they wanted you to be seen by their nurse was so they wouldn't get in trouble. That part where you're out of breath from stooping, your womb and its contents are compressing your abdominal aorta when you bend like that. You're short of breath because that cuts off the circulation to the lower half of your body, including said womb and contents. It prevents blood return, lowers your blood pressure, O2, and can make you lightheaded/pass out. Passing out and falling down is super bad for pregnant women. It is similarly bad for businesses where it happens due to supervisors ignoring light-duty paperwork. Please don't bend excessively as defined by your profile. That stood out to me too. She can't do it if she's out of breath after. Be careful, OP. Randy sounds like a workplace injury lawsuit in the pipeline. Every European reading this wide-eyed. Wait, why is she not on paid leave during pregnancy? Oh. It's in the United States of third world standards. OP replied. r/angry upvote. I'm sorry. I did not choose where I was born. I had a Randy when I was pregnant. I was a soldier and assigned to a very laid-back base. We were more like a college town than an army base. I was 8 months and huge. I looked like I was carrying triplets. My body made way too much fluid and I looked horrible. It was comical. But, I felt fine. I was just huge and carrying around an extra 75 pounds, but I was good. I was like you and just handled my shit. Until, I got called to do police call. Basically, it was my turn to help pick up trash around the base. My sergeant told me just to report for that duty and they will reassign me for after my delivery. This was an unwritten rule that most folks followed. Except for our Andy. No, our Andy wanted a note. But I didn't have one and could not get one. It would have taken about 30 minutes to get my doctor to give me a note. Instead, he forced me to do my duty because the army doesn't see female soldiers. So, I walked in the rain to do police call. The other folks assigned helped me and understood why I couldn't do anything. The base commander sees me walking around, attempting to pick stuff up, and starts yelling at folks. I get picked up in a nice car and taken to her office. Our Randy had zero clue what he was getting summoned for that morning. I'm sure he wasn't expecting to see a drowned rat-looking soldier being treated like freaking royalty. Our base no longer put any pregnant soldier on pickup detail. It was glorious and it was epic. And I did get pampered a bit more at my extremely flexible and easy desk job. My sergeant made Randy's life horrible. Randy had a really long 2 years there. A happy ending, yay. When military discipline goes right. Is Randy short a few apples? Who the duck tries to make a pregnant woman do work like that? A very popular online store I worked for did the same thing. I went through it with my baby and unfortunately a then co-worker of mine ended up having a miscarriage.